Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a special edition for the Greater Bayram or Eid al-Adha. We actually wishing everybody and all our viewers our dearest wishes for this great feast. And in tonight's special, we're going to be focusing on the tourism sector here in Egypt. Now, Egypt is blessed with many different kinds of tourism, the cultural tourism, the beach tourism, health tourism, among many others. And joining us here in the studio to shed more light on this file is Mr. Sameh Saad, the advisor to the Minister of Tourism. Mr. Saad, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we start our discussion with Mr. Saad, let's check out this report regarding the diversity of tourism in Egypt, and we'll be right back.
Egypt has a very ancient and culturally rich civilization and demonstrates it proudly through the astounding architecture, relics and artifacts that are dotted all over the country. The country has gone through various eras of cultural evolution as it passed from one set of administrators to another, starting from the rule of pharaohs to Greco-Roman period in 332 BC. This makes Egypt an ideal place for cultural tourism, as it has no end of attractions and history for tourists to enjoy, and traditions of its people are still a living, breathing reality. Egypt enjoys various fields of tourism attractions. The most important are archaeological or cultural tourism, which is one of the oldest types of tourism in Egypt. Despite the multiple types of tourism in Egypt's cultural tourism remains an unrepeated, unique and non-competitive component of tourism in the country. Besides cultural and archaeological tourism, many attractions have come into existence. These include recreational tourism, beaches, religious, therapeutic, ecotourism and sports. Diving centers represent a tourist activity that attracts a large number of tourists. Sharm el-Sheikh City is one of the largest diving centers in the world because of its potential environment and unique diversified nature, which leads Sharm el-Sheikh to be one of the major centers for attracting domestic and international tourism. There you will find the biggest diving centers equipped with the latest devices. In order to achieve further flourishing and tourist attractions, timeshare tourism, which was developed by Egypt, has revived. This new type of tourism grants non-Egyptians the right of ownership and usage of small units of accommodation in some new urban areas. Moreover, conference tourism in Egypt has steadily increased over the past 6 years, where the total events held in Cairo International Conference Center have amounted to 665 events.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Starting off our discussion right away. Mr. Saad, now, this is the summer season. It is the holidays for the feast. Now, is it safe to say that the beach tourism is the main attraction now for tourists, or is this only mainly for Egyptians, but foreign tourists would like to really explore a lot of cultural tourism, a lot of religious tourism, eco-friendly tourism? What's your take?
It depends on nationalities. Spanish, Italians, French, they love to go for culture tourism in summer, even in this heat. You know, the high season for Spanish actually is July, August and September. They have beaches, so they come here for the culture. Germans and other nationalities, they prefer the beach. So it goes on nationalities. Of course, Egyptian, they go to the north coast. You know, now the prices of the rooms are super high in the sky. But summer is a holiday season, so everybody travels. So the problem, we can get much more than what we get now, but there is not enough seats on the planes. So you find the north coast is overbooked. Hurghada goes on a very high occupancy. Sharm el-Sheikh goes in a good occupancy, not as Hurghada to some political reasons. But now everybody's traveling. You have a vacation, you wouldn't stay at home. Culture tourism benefits a lot now in summer. Of course, winter is the peak, but in summer, from those nationalities, we are doing fine.
Well, in general, if we look at these different kinds of tourism, which one would you say is Egypt's strongest point? Is it the cultural one, the beach one during the summer, or even during the winter? Because our weather during the winter is practically amazing.
Let me give you a small statistic according to our figures. 36% of the available rooms in Egypt goes on Red Sea Governorate. 35% goes on Red Sea on Sinai. So 76% of our available rooms are beach holidays. The rest of 24 goes between Cairo, Alexandria, Luxor, Aswan, and so on. The portion of the culture tourism is 13%, 13 to 15% from our available rooms. So this indicates by itself the percentage of each segment.
Yes.
Winter, beach and resorts are fully booked because of the weather as well.
Yes.
Summer as well because of the weather as well. You see, it's hot but very dry, so it's not humid. So we are lucky that we have tourism 12 months a year. We are lucky that we have it in all the segments we had. Certain days the culture tourism are not high occupancy. I don't know why, but like June, since they build the pyramids, always June is very drop. If you make 45 or 50% occupancy, this is a high achievement. Because it's holidays in Europe, just they are still in exams, so they didn't get their holidays. But in general, Egypt in normal circumstances, the average occupancy all over the country year-round is 70 to 75%. This is very good. Hurghada goes on 80, 82. But Egypt in general, 75. So we have good flow of tourism.
Mr. Saad, you're a former advisor to the Minister of Tourism and head of Egypt Travel now. How or what can be done to actually boost the cultural tourism if it's taking that much, a smaller portion of the other kinds of tourism here in Egypt? How can we actually boost it? Because we have antiquities and artifacts and all the monuments all over Egypt, be it in Giza, be it in Luxor, Aswan, different governorates. What can be done to boost it? What can be done to really attract the tourists to come solely for that? Because Egyptology is even taught all over the schools.
A lot than anyone can think. First of all, let me talk about the tourism operation. There are peak days, you know, the week is 7 days. 4 days is peak. You don't find the space in any plane. I'm talking about the normal winter season now. In 4 days, everything is packed, fully booked. Other 3 days, it's not. Why? Simply Europeans travel on a weekend, Saturday, so certain days it's full. For example, I used to head the Sound and Light Company. It's a public sector company, and in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I used to have 700-800 people visiting Fila Temple in Aswan. Saturday, maybe I have no one. So the map is not really going in this pattern, going like this. What can we do? Probably we can start approaching different nationalities. Who doesn't care about traveling on Saturday? They care about traveling Monday. So we are filling the empty days. And this is achievable, but just like different type of marketing. This is one point. Another point, I ask you to come for culture tourism. You have seen the pyramid once or twice. You will not come for a third time. You have seen Hatshepsut and those kind of temples. We have much, much, much more than anyone think in antiquities, in archaeologies, in temples. So we can focus on new. It's not discover, it's there. But some are having the big focus or the big fame. Others, they are not. So if we start focusing on new ones, so we can present Egypt for the second time. Some agencies started this program. Egypt for the second time. Come to Egypt. No, I have seen those. Okay, come and see those. We are lucky because we have Roman, we have Islamic, we have Pharaonic, we have Coptic, we have all kind of civilizations came here. So if the agencies start to market and the Egyptian Tourism Authority is starting to market the new other existing antiquities and archaeological sites, than this, so you can always have, I can get you to visit Egypt 2 or 3 times, not only once. So we can do this, especially the weather permits. I mean, we are lucky with the weather and the distance between Europe and other countries, we are almost central.
Well, Mr. Saad, you said that maybe we could be exploring other markets. Now, what's stopping us, and what sort of markets, which other countries and nationalities that we're not really fully exploring and we're just mainly focusing on the usual suspects, as they call them?
You see, in good years, we receive like 3 million from Russia. We receive over 1 million from UK, over This year, I think we are receiving 1.8 million from Germany. So always Europe is giving us 70-75% of our incoming tourism in general. America doesn't give much. South America, because of the distance, it's 12 hours flying, and there is a lot of problem with connections. But other markets are there. Africa. Africa has a lot of rich people. If they go a lot to London, then definitely they can afford to come here. If they go a lot to Dubai, definitely they can afford to come here. Middle Asia, like Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, this kind of countries, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, those countries, some of them are very rich petrol companies, but they like to come. Let's agree that each one in the school, in his childhood, all over the world had few notes about Egyptian history, pyramids, Cleopatra, and all this. So it's not like you are talking about a country nobody knows. Egypt always has been in the center of political and every kind of activities. So they know it. You don't need anything. The only thing you need is to fix some logistics and to inspire and push the agencies, maybe by doing promotion and things, to start business from those. Problem is most of us are typical. You go to Italy and you sell those programs, then I come after you and sell those programs, and we compete in pricing. Not that we can offer different products, so all of us can sell. No.
Yes.
This is what's happening.
Yes. Well, Mr. Saad, now, as you've mentioned, we have all these things already. There's said, the pyramids, the temples, all the artifacts and the antiquities. We have them said, but what about the other things surrounding these that make the trip quite an experience, the services, the accommodations? How set are we to actually be giving the perfect sort of scenario for an experience for the tourist?
Let's talk. People go to Dubai. Let's talk logistics. If you are in London, you go to Dubai, you need 7 or 8 hours flying, right? I mean, like London, New York is shorter than London, Dubai.
Yes.
Europe, Sweden, Dubai is 7 or 8, 9 hours flying. So let's say that the trip is not easy, right? From traveling to Europe to Dubai. Dubai is doubling the numbers and everything. The price of the package in Dubai could be twice or triple or 4 times Egypt, right? What Dubai competes with? Dubai competes with service. We are good in certain chain of hotels, you know, some chains. They are international, but 98% of the staff are Egyptians. The waiter is serving you as Egyptian, right? But these names, we know them, and they offer service. So people are ready to pay any price you ask. Unfortunately, not with everyone. If we start focusing really on service, if we start offering a good experience, as I said in Dubai, plus what we have, plus the weather, Dubai, you can travel nicely 4 or 5 months a year. The 7 months is extremely hot, extremely humid, right?
Yes.
But still people go year round. Why? They offer service, they offer experience. What tourism do? We are not selling a medicine, we are not selling a food. We are selling an extra commodity.
Yes.
When you have time, you want to enjoy yourself, you travel somewhere. If you don't get a good experience, then forget it.
Yes.
Yes, everyone would love to see the pyramids. Everyone had it in the school, so it's lifetime experience. But if he doesn't return back with good memories, he can give negative ideas.
Yes.
It's not very bad as I'm talking, but I'm actually hoping for much better than what we do now.
Well, if we talk about the other things, the packaging of the whole trip, we're talking about hotels, let's talk about transportation, the restaurants, the nightlife, all these things. All these elements, is it a responsibility for the travel agencies, the independent private sector travel agencies? Is it a responsibility for the government, the Ministry of Tourism?
It's the whole community. Because you see, I am a travel agency, I'm not opening a restaurant to take my people to. But then someone, an investor, we can say that he should open an entertainment evening place, you said now, nightlife. Unfortunately, due to some reasons, tax and stuff like this, the nightlife now, you know, in summer we used to have a lot of Arabs. They come and enjoy, they can stay 1 or 2 months. Why? This evening he's going to this theater play, and this evening he's going to this concert, and so on. due to some reasons, a lot of taxes and a lot of this kind of things, we don't have it. We kind of lost it. So it need, in my personal opinion, it need a superior authority to get everyone coordinate and make things happening. The problem is each sector is seeing the thing from his own view. So you can have a lot of taxes, and you can have here this and service is not well, overpricing in the service. A lot of things are happening, so we are slowly losing this kind of summer clients. Tourism, we call it stay tourism.
Yes.
Let's say you're from Saudi Arabia. Coming to Egypt is a tradition. It's not that, no, it's a tradition. You can come to Egypt 3 or 4 times or 5 or 6 times a year, and if you have a holiday for 2 weeks, you go for a week, and so on. So definitely I will not go to the pyramid every time I come. Okay, I have seen the pyramids. I have seen those places. What do I come for? I come to spend nice time and have entertainment and have good service. If we are not offering all this, then we are not getting the numbers.
Yes.
It's improving. In 2018, we received 3 million from the Arab market. We received almost 960,000 from Saudi Arabia, while 3 years before we had half this number. So it is coming well. But we are really hoping for much more. Why? Simply, Egypt is a lot of memories for the Arabs. You have seen all our nice movies and media. Whenever you go to any Arab country and say you're Egyptian, then you get all those phrases and fun jokes about this. So we are there. We just need to improve ourselves and fix our little tiny problems, because we will gain much more than any other industry.
Yes. Well, Mr. Saad, talking about improvement now, the tourism sector actually constitutes about 20% of Egypt's foreign currency revenue. And over the past few years, the economic reform program and the restructuring and the booming of the tourism sector, it went a long way, and you pointed out to the improvement that took place over the past few years. Now, do you feel, because you've been in the sector for quite some time, do you feel this significant improvement in terms of services, or is it logistical improvements through the ministry? Is it a restructuring of the whole organization, the institution as a whole? Is it basically just individual travel agencies making their individual efforts, or is there a system in place for the whole apparatus to function well?
Always the role of the public, of the private sector, is the real influence. The government role is not to get tourists, is not to organize a package. It's not their job. It's not the job of the government. It's the job always of the private sector. The government, I'm talking about Ministry of Tourism or Egyptian Tourism Authority, that's the role. They do marketing for the destination. They facilitate the problems. As I see, really, the men in charge, the persons in charge of the Ministry of Tourism, who are in charge of the hotels and restaurant things, if they see any problem, really they tolerate it, they fix it, and they do. So they are doing their part very well. Maybe you can find 1 or 2 negative cases, but let's talk about 11 million tourists. So we don't need to speak always about a couple of negative cases. So they are doing their part. The private sector is the one who has to push and get individual tourism. ETA tells, visit Egypt. Me as a private company, I would say, come and I will do you this program and this program and this program. So the role of the government, I'm talking about Ministry of Tourism and Ticket is Culture, is to promote, is to give general thing. And Ticket is explore new, I mean, we discover every week now something new, open new tombs every day. And this is taking a huge part in the media abroad. Make it ready for me so I can sell Egypt for the 2nd and the 3rd time. You know what I mean? So the role of the government, facilitate. And my role as a company, to bring the tourist in.
Yes. Mr. Saad, talking about promoting and the new products and the new discoveries. Now, there will be very soon the opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum. really it's something that the whole world is looking forward to and waiting for. Now, what can that Grand Egyptian Museum offer for the tourists so as not to just come once and check out the museum and not come again? How can we actually make the most of such an event and such a place?
First of all, talking about the Grand Egyptian Museum is taking place all over the world, in Europe, everywhere. In any newspaper you open, you find something about it. So this is giving a very positive idea and very positive campaign about Egypt. You know, tourism is coming back. Why? Because a lot of positive events are happening. Tourism stopped for a while. Why? Because a lot of negative things are happening. You know, I mean, incidents and explosion, this kind of things. So it is coming back with positive things. We have to emphasize more. The Egyptian Grand Museum will open. What we should do, we should create always event. Could be kind of culture, entertainment. Cultural only that someone will give a lecture will attract a layer. But kind of culture, entertainment events will get 2 layers. We get more people.
Yes.
If we put a calendar of event, say like this, and the calendar event should always come in the drop dates. You know, what's happening sometimes, it's not the hands of anyone, like in October. October always is a busy month in Europe. All vacations are there, they take their vacations. And then you have a lot of conferences, you find a lot of incentives, a lot of things. So you don't find a single bed in Cairo, when maybe in September or November you can find hotels are empty. If we make a calendar based on drop dates, because then you can, if you have an event with big number, it's easy to find space in hotels. And we publish this event, definitely the Egyptian will be a real attraction for Egypt.
Yes. Well, Mr. Saad, also over the past few years, there were a lot of international conferences, be it economic one, cultural one, youth ones, the sporting event, the African Cup of Nations a little bit ago. Now, do you feel that these things work as some sort of a promotion for the tourism here in Egypt?
You know, when they made the toss, they chose the playing teams together, the Africa World Cup, Football Cup. It was done by the Pyramids. I was at this time in charge of the Sound and Light Company. Actually, I was very proud. I mean, the event was wow event. And actually, next day and in the same evening, I find all the words are talking about it. Everyone, French, France, Italy, not talking Africa, I'm talking European, were showing the events, the pyramids, the fireworks, all this kind of stuff. So definitely this moved. Listening to positive news and making you, wow, I want to go there, this is the real thing. You can make an advert, come to Egypt. You spend zillions, not millions, zillions. It doesn't make an event like the one we saw in this Africa thing that you see, the pyramids lit and great things. So all those positive things, Africa Football Cup, we organize for all those groups with no problem. This always gives people who are walking in the streets and so on, all this positive news are really the pillars and make you very strong that you always have a good, stable situation in tourism.
Yes. Mr. Saad, now being head of Egypt Travel, do you feel that there are still many more places that, yes, the Egyptians know them, but not necessarily the tourists, the foreign tourists know them, that they should explore? Like everyone around the world knows about Cairo, Giza, Luxor, Aswan, they know about Sharm el-Sheikh, Gharda'a, all these places, but there are other places as well in Sinai. There's Marsa Alam, there's Siwa, Oasis, there are many other different areas. Do you feel that still the travel agencies and the tourism sector is not really making the most of all these little gems?
Yes. Of course, there are sometimes some logistics which really slow the movement. But those areas who have no problem in logistics, we are not doing the enough effort. But let me tell you good news. We are working now as a public sector company. We're doing a project. It's a mobile application, exploring all these small places which even Egyptian doesn't know.
Yes.
In Cairo, we have a lot of places, Islamic places, Islamic monuments, the house of Zainab Khatoon and all these kind of things. We are working now already, and I have an expert who's working on this as well, putting all this in a mobile application to be available for Egyptian and foreigners and tourists. And through this application, you will find things just easy. You press the button, you get everything booked, you pay it by credit card, you are there.
Yes.
Because our role, we are not making any money out of this. Because you see, with the Egyptian, the entrance fee is very small, so the profit margin is not really covering the real cost. But our role as a public sector company and social responsibility, community responsibility, to make everyone go to see it. This is your country, you have to see your history. I'm making it easier. We are contracting guides which will take you a tour in Shara al-Mu'izz, in Mu'izz, in all those kind of places, which I see myself. A lot of Egyptians, they have a friend living in Europe and they come to see the pyramid. He has no idea. I was in the pyramid when I was in the school. So he comes, you see, this is great pyramid. Tell me about it. Well, you see, it's a nice place.
Yes.
So we are trying to make it electronic, easier, the people can see more.
Yes, definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, obviously there's still a lot of work to be done to a very prosperous and good sector here in Egypt, the tourism sector. I'd like to thank Mr. Sameh Saad, the head of Egypt Travel, and also the former advisor to the Minister of Tourism. Mr. Saad, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's check out this report regarding Egypt picking up its tourism statistics for the year 2019 and opting to really boom again in 2020, and we'll be right back.